Hello there, different type of video today. Obviously, I'm in my car. So check this out. I figured since I had a little bit of time before I had to go back to work, I might as well make this video. I had a couple of thoughts on my mind. Obviously, in the way, as you can see, the title. You've seen the thumbnail. I've needed to use that thumbnail for quite some time. A friend of mine drew that for me. I actually did have a reason to use it. Well, to be fair, you know what? Whatever. I'll explain in a second. So, like I said, I had a couple of thoughts. I was thinking about this. We're obviously talking about Destiny and the revenge porn that got leaked of him, actually, by some lady he was trying to court. No, he wasn't trying to court her. he wasn't trying to do that. So for those of y'all who don't know, if you're none in the know, it's reasonable. I'm sure you have a life and, more important things to do. So Destiny, at some point, had very many leaks put out about him. One leak that is particularly important to me as an individual that tries to be honorable and righteous and fair was his affair with Lauren Southern. That broke my heart quite a bit. Kind of want to discuss it a little bit. Maybe I will one of these days, because I want to be fair to Lauren Southern, because Lauren Southern's always been good to me. Always, whenever I was able to contact her and interact with her, she was always open and available to have a conversation with me, chat with me. And so I do have a good bit of respect for her on that front by itself, because it's honorable. It's kind of her to have done so. But damn, that sucks. Being in an affair with a gremlin like Destiny. I'm sorry. I don't like Destiny. There are moments where I have respect for him. And in fact, I do respect Destiny in a couple of different ways. For example, one reason why I respect Destiny and Myron is that as two intellectual combatants and foes, oftentimes, they still maintain a strong respect for each other. And I think that says a lot. It's very interesting how those two opposing individuals can maintain a good amount of respect consistently. And the truth be told, if I can deviate for a moment, for as much as Myron Gaines is definitely an intellectual adversary of mine, certainly a moral adversary, I would have to say, I maintain a great amount of respect for him as well. I have to, because he is a very honorable individual. I don't agree with the nigga on very many things, but, he does maintain that. And Destiny, in his relationship with Myron, maintains the same thing. I think it's important to note that. But the truth is, for as many great things as there might be for Destiny, pioneering, the streaming platform, as we know it today, honestly, a huge chunk of it can be contributed to him. The fact remains that there is a consistent issue with males and their power when it comes to having clout in the 21st century. And so we not only had those leaks of Lauren Southern and the affair there, but we also have sex tapes of him. Both. I'm sorry. I was on Kiwi Farms last night. I'm sorry. I probably should. I'm sorry. So, no, I'm laughing because I never thought I'd ever see him perform fellatio. I'm gonna be honest with you. And the worst part about it all was, I wanted to double check so I could get my facts straight, because Melina, his ex-wife, had made a post, or at least I saw on Reddit, that she did say that she was a victim of such. And it turns out to be true. I went on Kiwi Farms and there she was. She was there. And then there's another lady, her name's Pixie. I've seen her on the Whatever podcast. I've seen her all over the place. Particularly, I've seen her work with Destiny quite a bit. She was a kind of rather young, I say rather young, I think she'd have to be around like 25 at this point, feminist that went on and had multiple different debates with multiple different people. And again, I've seen her in a couple of different podcasts. I even think she was on Fresh and Fit too once, maybe, perhaps, I don't know. And I think some guys were there too. I don't know who these males were, you know what I'm saying? But those were released. And it's very interesting because now recently there's a President Sunday video. President Sunday, if I gotta tell you, Destiny might be his greatest foe. The way this nigga President Sunday talks about Destiny. He hates this motherfucker. Listen, so President Sunday makes this video, and it got me thinking about this, because the truth of the matter is, Destiny is not special in this regard. He's not special in the regard that when you have notoriety and clout, you know, as the kids say these days, status is clout. It becomes very easy to have sex with women. And one of the worst parts about it is, and what really made me kind of want to make this video was because, again, I was on Kiwi Farms last night, and someone said something. Now, to be fair, the guys at Kiwi Farms, I mean, they're kind of a degenerate, kind of gossipy bunch themselves. They're not really, you know, the bastion of morality, so to speak. But someone made an interesting point, and he said, you know, feeling sorry for a bunch of groupies is wild to me. I thought about that one for a moment. I thought about it for a second, and I'm thinking, it's not that he has a point, but he has something to be considered. You see, the thing that's interesting about clout demons, or women who have sex for clout, is that they are a willing participant. Now, let's be fair to this front. Let's start with this front and then break it down. We have to be fair on two fronts. We have to be fair on front one, that being a groupie or willingly having sex with a guy that has clout doesn't mean that you should be exposed and your intimate parts to be posted on the internet. Fair enough. True. And as such, you can have a disdain for groupies and, you know, simp culture. I do find it very interesting that women act like simps too, but we only consider the simp issue a male one. Curious how that works. Anyway, we have these females, these groupies as such. It might be the case again that you can disdain them, you can dislike them for XYZ reason, much in the same way, you know, logically would have to disdain a simp. But the fact remains that they're still entitled to their privacy. That's the thing. Fair enough. There's also a very interesting to consider, and that is Pixie is trying to sue Destiny now after attempting to extort him. Interesting how culpable or how much agency is involved here. We'll come back to that in a moment. Let's be fair to the fact that Destiny 2 is a victim, technically. As such, he sent these videos to someone he was trying to have sex with as well. I imagine that this is kind of a thing that he does. I imagine. I imagine that this was just the one who leaked it. I imagine that consistently this is kind of a thing that he's willing to do, and that is to show and expose himself sexually to have more sex with lots of different women, more women than we knew, which is reasonable because, like, we don't, you know, we're not with this nigga all day. Makes sense. So fact remains that you can dislike groupies, you can find groupies to be simps as well, and maintain the same consistent disdain. But truth is, and even on the truth on Destiny's side, they're all victims. So I don't even know how the suit with Pixie will even go, because of the details of her trying to extort him for money. And I don't know how well it'll go when Destiny is a victim too, and really Destiny should be able to sue the person that leaked it all to begin with. Fair enough, right? Because here's the thing, Destiny is also a participant in those videos. It is quite fascinating kind of how intimacy works. Intimacy requires, you know, two people to work together, but no sole person owns anything in that encounter. In fact, it might be its own video. Topic in and of itself, I think, is quite interesting, quite fascinating. Fact remains, this type of behavior, I'm going to be honest with you, this whole situation, this entire situation, is incomprehensible without sexual degeneracy. It's impossible to understand. It's impossible to get here without lust being extremely powerful. And it's interesting that for as much, I was just thinking about this because another video I was watching. It's interesting to me how lots of guys, particularly black men, will love to talk about how you're supposed to chase a check, not chase a bitch. And yet, after they got the check, all these niggas do is chase bitches. Including the niggas who say, don't do that. Including, Future has, what, 9 women he's impregnated? Perhaps more. Those are only the 9 that we bloody know, to be fair. Same niggas who say that, they don't even live by the code. I find it fascinating. Point is, males are very beholden to their desire for women. And look, I'm not special either. You know what I'm saying? I like women too. I'm not special. I'm not different. I'm not stronger or more powerful than any of you niggas in that regard. Not by one stretch of the imagination. But here's the difference. The difference is I understand that with great power comes great responsibility. And I understand it's cartoonish, it's childish, it's goofy. But here's the thing. Before it was cartoonish and childish and goofy, it was just an observation and moral code that grown-ass men, long before it became attached to Spider-Man, truly understood and lived by. Noblesse oblige. There's a scripture in the Bible. To know what is the right thing to do and not do it is its own sin. This idea that when you are powerful and you have the ability to do something, that you also have an obligation to not mishandle it is not just a part of Spider-Man mythos. It's a part of just the moral framework that very many Westerners have used for about 1,000 years or so, right? Again, noblesse oblige, the idea that the nobles of European countries had an obligation to protect the peasantry and do right by them. Probably a little bit more complex than that, but I don't think I get the point. That has been largely obliterated by this degeneracy and this sexual culture that we have created. Destiny does not at any point in time even brush past the idea or concept that because he has power over these groupies, that he must be wise and respectful to them, to their privacy, to even just utilizing the clout of which to have sex with them to begin with, because he has no obligation to have sex with groupies. No one does. No one has any obligation to do anything awful to another person. And to be fair, and when I say that, I mean, because I know it makes it seem like having sex with someone when there's a power differential is an awful thing. The awful thing is knowing that these are clout demons and clout sharks and taking advantage of it, because that's what it is. These women, listen, let's not kid ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Listen. Now I understand. Now I'm rugged, beard unkempt, ugly as motherfucker. I understand I'm an ugly motherfucker. But nigga, let's not kid ourselves that these women are around Destiny because he is just so very handsome. Nigga. So they know the deal. They know they're going to take a piece of his audience. They know they're going to break off a piece of that bread if they have sex with them. If they give up, if they give in. They know. Fair enough that they know. Truth be told, when it comes to them being exposed as such, their videos being released, that's still wrong. But at the same time, they are groupies. They are clout demons. It's Harvey Weinstein thing. It's the whole Me Too thing. A lot of that stuff that happened with the whole Me Too thing was more akin to quid pro quo prostitution than it was powerful men just taking, they are taking advantage of the women, but the women know that they are receiving something. Now, is what they received equal to the utilization of their bodies? At the time, they believe so. Because the truth is, a lot of people understand about the modern era, the modern perception of sexuality that women have, is a lot of them think like prostitutes. As such, what I mean is they think that when they have sex with men, they need to receive something out of it. Sex unto itself is not the objective. Validation, clout, straight up just money. Things. I'm supposed to get something out of this because there's a so-called favor to the male sexuality. Males are my adversaries. Males are my opponent. I must get over on them. As such, I must manipulate them. I must take from them. It's all downstream from the total disconnect of sex from reproduction, and sex from intimacy, and sex from love and compassion. Because people don't compassionately have sex. People don't selflessly have sex. People don't have sex because they're like, damn, I just want you to feel good, bro. No one does that. No, and that's the thing. When I say no, I obviously am being flamboyant. Like, I am obviously exaggerating when I say no one. But oftentimes, the cultural zeitgeist of how we interact with sex, let's be fair, we can all agree, you and me, dear viewer, is that it is not an act done from the desire to make the woman or male enjoy it. There are some people who are like that, but ironically, even in their selflessness, it's selfish because that compersion makes them more sexually activated. As such, I like when a female says she likes performing fellatio because she likes the pleasure she gives to the male. It's a whole feedback. Now, they both are mutually benefiting from it. Fair enough, right? But the fact remains, it is not simply just done unto himself, for his own sake. As such, the female does not have sex with the male for his own sake. She does not do so because having sex with him would validate him and make him a worthy male in the eyes of other males, and as such, she's protecting his reputation. They don't do it like that. Now, again, I've seen some, very few and far between. I have seen stories as such, but overwhelmingly is what I am trying to communicate, is, again, for as much as you may be able to find such a thing, overwhelmingly, that is not how people interact and engage with sex in our current era. Destiny and these groupies are no different. They all knew the deal. They knew that if they hang around them, give up the cheeks, you know what I'm saying, they're going to get a piece of that pie. They know. So when it comes back to that one comment I read from the Kiwi Farms thread that even made me want to start this, it's this interesting at the same time thing we can do. Because the truth is, the stuff isn't black and white. It's very muddy and complex. And it's a lot to entangle in approach. When honestly, none of this should have ever happened. And again, not because Destiny shouldn't have recorded it. Not because Destiny shouldn't have shared it to some other woman, some other groupie, which I guess really was an agent of subterfuge who wanted to expose him. Or maybe they themselves got disgusted by what Destiny was doing and said, nah, I'm not going to let this slide. Who knows? Who really knows what his motivations were? I don't know. Fact remains, it isn't simply, none of this could have happened if Destiny had just kept it in his pants, didn't record it, didn't show another woman. The fact is, none of this would have happened if Destiny respected these women. That includes his wife. I honestly, real nigga shit, I don't even think the nigga Destiny even liked Melina. I'll be honest with you. I'll be dead ass. Seeing the nature of their relationship, seeing how he had a whole ass affair. Nigga. You know what I'm saying? Was constantly having sex with other women. Nigga. And then trying to encourage her to have sex with the guys, and she's like, look, bro, there's no other clout demon I can find myself with. You know, a lot of people I find very particularly interesting. You know, I never talked about that. You may as well, give my quick opinion on that. I never talked about Destiny Melina's divorce because I don't like talking about trending topics, and over time I'm like, whatever. A lot of red pill niggas, I keep seeing this. People keep saying this shit, and I don't. Maybe this is what my channel is for me to see through the bullshit and be countercultural and be a contrarian, because I don't think you niggas really get this. I saw so many people like, look at Melina, how she left Destiny for some twink. Destiny was never there. That's what you guys don't get. It was a marriage on paper. It was always an open relationship. That's what you guys don't get. Destiny was constantly always working. You could see Melina in the background, vying for attention. You can see it. I ain't making it up. I don't need to make it up. And then he had an affair with Lauren Southern, of which whom breaks me bloody heart quite a bit. But again, I I mean, when you put all the details together, Melina didn't leave Destiny because he was a weak male, a twink, you know? None of that. He didn't adhere even to the open relationship rule nonsense that they made. He was never fully present. The way their relationship even started was some old bullshit. He stole Melina from one of his fans that invited him over to Sweden to go hang out to begin with. The whole thing from go. The nigga had sex with Melina while Brett was in the other room on the couch. This nigga, I'll be honest with you. This Destiny, as far as his moral compassion, there's much to be lacking. It's not that. And none of this happens when you have integrity, when you have kindness, when you think about other people, when you give a fuck about other people. Again, it's not as simple as none of this happens when groupies are ignored. Fair enough. It's not that none of this happens if clout demons didn't exist and wanted to take a piece off of your pie. Fair enough. It's not even as none of this happens if you just remain celibate and only have sex with the motherfucker you're married to. Fair enough. But none of this from the core beginning happens when you make the correct and right and good choices to protect the people you're around. The truth is, the cultural zeitgeist has allowed as such, that we have sex outside of committed relationships. Okay? Let's accept that for a moment, that is how people operate. The cultural zeitgeist has allowed for even people within relationships, now most people have a disdain for it, but again, allows for as such to happen. Fair enough. And the cultural zeitgeist has allowed the concept of pseudo relationships to be named situationships. As such, I will always explain that pseudo relationship is a much better word than situationship, because situationship kind of implies that there's a particular thing going on, when in reality, it's a fake relationship. It's pseudo meaning fake. Is that we have the rules of a relationship, we have the expectations of a relationship, but we do not have the title as such. We will act and perform as if we're in a relationship when we are not actually in a relationship. As such, I have no responsibility to maintain honor and integrity towards you, but I still expect that from you. As such, that's what a pseudo relationship is. Again, the kids call it situationships. I think it's a stupid fucking word. Point is, we accept that that's how we treat each other. And in that goofiness, we have all of these muddied rules and all of these muddy, nasty situations that realistically shouldn't even happen. Because from go, Destiny could have and should have been married and just stayed with Melina. Even though he snatched her up from one of his fans, which, I mean, that's nigga, you know what I'm saying? That might have happened. But whether that or he maintains a good his sexual degeneracy and the sexual degeneracy of very many powerful men, and you may not think Destiny is powerful, because what I'm saying, he looks like a little gremlin, but he's very powerful socially. There's a responsibility that has been jerked for, to be frank, the liberal laissez-faire sexual ideology. As such, because we consented, because we simply said, I allow as such to happen, all is fair. But in reality, that's not how humans operate, and that's not how humans should operate. There is the abstract moral obligation that should be incumbent with people that you're having sex with, from groupie, from wife, from girlfriend, from just your motherfucking friend. You know what I'm saying? Just motherfucker you care about. You know what I'm saying? Like, just, even if you were to just, I don't think you should, but even if you were to just have sex with an old high school friend that you reconnected with, you should still have honor and care and compassion towards that woman and for that man. If you're a young lady watching this, we should care about each other. I'm literally inside you. You literally open your legs up to receive me. That might sound graphic, but that's what's actually happening. Think about it. That's what actually happens. And when I say it out loud, a lot of niggas, they recoil. But that's the real life thing. I'm inside you. You opened up and received me. That's the truth. And in that, we treat it like it's a simple act, And then we step back. We on the front end we want to pretend, oh, it's just like shaking a hand. On the back end we want to say, well, this is quite the violation. You shouldn't do this to me. You can't do this to me. That's not fair. And then we have all these rules, all these laws, all these courses, and all these battles, all this, the court of public opinion, all this social, all this stuff. But listen, if we bring it all back down to it, as goofy as very many people think this sounds because it came from a Sam Raimi movie about a nigga that got bitten by a genetically modified spider. It flips around and fights another nigga that dresses in a Green Goblin costume. With great power comes great responsibility. Destiny, as an individual with a lot of social power, as an individual with a huge platform, lots of money, could have avoided all of this by being respectful, being kind, and not subjected to his lust. And the truth of the matter is, there is something to be said about groupies, simps. Female simps is what they are. I find it very interesting that people don't seem to grasp that. There's something to be said about groupies wanting to take a piece off of that. But the fact remains that ultimately, the way we view sex fundamentally in our society, and the way men go about obtaining sex, or powerful men go about obtaining sex by taking advantage of clout demons and groupies, is not right. It jerks the responsibility that comes with power. And it jerks the responsibility that comes from treating another human being well. Again, it might be easy to have sex with a woman that really, really wants to do it with you. But you have to think about it and be wise and still respect her. And still be kind to her. In fact, there's no reason not to be. And yet, what we see often and time again is these men, they become more or less sociopaths, maybe more accurate, but psychopaths in their behavior. Because the abundance of all of these different females who are so desperate and simpy have made them operate in the same way very many people in the manosphere disdain the way women treat us. I find it very fascinating how oftentimes we find ourselves upset with the behaviors of females when it is also just the behavior of males. I find it interesting that ultimately the true battle that we all should always be having is against evil and immorality in the way we treat each other. Because it's easy to look at overarching systems and structures and talk about society as a giant dragon that cannot be slayed with the sword. Instead of taking a moment-to-moment realization that these are still choices done at the individual level. And it might cascade into obviously the giant ocean of humanity that is individual droplets working together, true enough. But it still starts with one. It still starts at that level one. It still starts with Destiny doesn't need to have an affair. And he doesn't need to snatch a girl from one of his friends or fans. And he doesn't need to be promiscuous and have a bunch of sex with random women because it's easy. And he doesn't need to record this for later so he can show it to other women. He doesn't need to do any of this. But that sexual degeneracy and lust and power in ease of access that has been given to him has truly corrupted his mind. And again, my hope at the very least, and who knows, maybe a nigga just sitting in his car talking about nothing. My hope at least is that some of you guys will see this and watch this and recognize that lust is one of the 7 deadly sins because of how overwhelming and corruptive it is. You know, when again, some people might note the 7 deadly sins are not technically a biblical concept. And that's true technically. But when you look at it and you analyze and you recognize them, you realize what it is saying is that these sins, and particularly lust, is corruptive. It's overwhelming. It destroys. That's what it does. It bends you out of shape. It fails you, ultimately. It doesn't help you. How did this help Destiny in any way, shape, or form? It didn't. I'm sure Destiny will maintain a core audience, certainly. But there are very many people who are now going to continue to disrespect him and not listen to him, even if he says something right or reasonable. It's going to take a long time, if he can, recover his relationship. And all of this is done by his hand. Well, mostly by his hand. The nigga still did get leaked, to be fair. But he wasn't really a good person. And he didn't maintain integrity. And he didn't maintain honor. And he wasn't respectful and honestly good with the very, very fortunate life that he was granted, considering that he was a StarCraft 2 streamer who then started talking about politics, and it just cascaded into incredible success. Destiny could have just sat down and had a family and continued to do the same thing he was doing, get out of his computer chair, go play with his son, you know what I'm saying, have more kids, just rest, keep saying the same shit. Instead, he took the power that was given to him and he used it to have a bunch of degenerate sex. And now it has come back to haunt him. And my hope, at least with this video, is, well, it might be the case that clout sharks and groupies, they don't have clean hands either. You don't have to take advantage, and you don't even have to get yourself involved with any of this nonsense to begin with. You seek goodness, seek righteousness, and my hope is that you guys will learn from his mistakes, and perhaps not even find yourself in this goofiness at all. Well, we've been here for 30 minutes, and I gotta get back to work. So with that being said, listen, guys, I certainly hope you guys got something out of today's video. I kind of doubt it, but if you did, I don't know, man, go ahead and click the like button. And shoot, go ahead and click the subscribe button. We'll put it right there. Comment comments below, and as always, you guys have yourselves a great day. I will see you cool cats soon.